everyone, thanks for being here. Today we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing fractions. If you've never been to my channel, well, this is Math is for Me with Mrs. B, where we conquer math anxiety. We're first going to be talking about multiplying fractions, and this is possibly going to be your favorite thing about fractions because it is two simple steps. First, you just multiply straight across. Second, you simplify. The next thing we're going to be talking about is dividing fractions. This will probably be your second favorite things about fractions. You first have to rewrite the problem, which we will get into. Then you multiply straight across and simplify. Well, let's get to it. I have our steps here with us, so they're going to support us throughout the way, and we're going to do 5 examples for each. Our first example is 1/2 times 1/2. The best thing about multiplying fractions is that you actually do not need a common denominator. We do have one right here, and that is totally fine, but this is not a necessity. And actually, before we begin, I do want to tell you that multiplying fractions, another word for multiplying is finding the product. So we need to find the product of two fractions. That means you're going to be multiplying. So if we have 1/2 times 1/2, you literally just multiply straight across. We can do this 1 times 1 and 2 times 2 and simplify. Well, our fraction 1/4 is as simple as it gets, so we're done. Like I said, this is probably going to be your favorite thing in regards to fractions. Let's look at another example. We're going to need to find the product of 2/3 and 3/4. So that means we're going to be multiplying. Multiply straight across. 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 4 is 12. We have to simplify. If you are not sure how to simplify, please head to my channel. I do have a video in my fractions playlist specifically about simplifying fractions. Well, the highest common factor in both of these numbers is going to be 6, so we divide the top and the bottom, the numerator and the denominator, by 6, and here we have it. So 6/12 is equal to 1/2. And 6/12 hopefully is a fraction that you kind of have memorized as being equivalent to 1/2. Our third example, which is going to be the last one I walk you through for multiplying, is 2/3 times 2/3. I'll say it again, you do not need to have a common denominator when you are multiplying fractions. There's nothing wrong with having common denominators, but there's also nothing that says we have to have them with multiplying fractions. So we do have it here, 3 and 3, these are our denominators, but that doesn't really impact our problem. We just solve the exact same way. So step 1, multiply straight across. 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. Step 2 is to simplify. This is the final simplification. I'm going to throw 2 more examples up here, and I encourage you to pause the video, solve on your own, and then resume when you're ready to check your answer. 7/8 times 1/2 is 7/16, and this is the final simplification, so we box our answer. 5/6 times 1/4 is equal to 5/24, and there is nothing else to simplify about this, so we box our answer. That's our final answer. Well, now that you've mastered multiplying fractions, let's divide them. The great thing is, look, the only thing is we have a new step, number 1, but step 2 is that step 1, and step 3 is that step 2. So not much has changed. All we have to do is rewrite the problem, and then dividing is the same thing as multiplying, which is amazing. So let me show you. Another word for dividing is finding the quotient, so I'll put that up here. So product is multiplying and quotient is dividing. So quotient/dividing fractions. Now, the same thing with multiplying fractions, you do not need a common denominator to divide. We can have it, like our first example here, 1/2 divided by 1/2. There's nothing wrong with having a common denominator, but it is not something we need, which is oftentimes students' favorite things about multiplying and dividing fractions is they don't like common denominators, so we can actually just avoid that. Now, what we need to do is we need to rewrite this problem. We're going to rewrite this problem by keeping our first fraction the same. We're going to change our division to multiplication because look, our second step is to multiply. and we are going to write the reciprocal of our second fraction. Many students and classrooms have different ways of remembering this. Growing up, I was taught copy, because you copy this one, dot, because you change it to a dot, and then flop. You flop this second one. And so 1/2 becomes 2 firsts. Well, 2 over 1. So that is something that I grew up with. I've heard a lot of keep, change, change, because you keep the first one, change, change. But the mathematical way of saying this is you multiply by the reciprocal. And the reciprocal is just that fraction flipped. Second step is multiply straight across. 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 1 is 2. Well, 2 over 2 is just 1 whole. Isn't that simple? Let's do another. 2/3 divided by 3/4. So what we're going to do with our second example is copy, dot, flop. Now, we rewrote the problem. That's step number 1. To multiply straight across, we have 8/9 and simplify. Well, we don't need to. That's it. And we're done. Let's walk through one more example, and then I'll throw 2 up here for you to do on your own. 2/3 divided by 2/3, we're going to keep the same thing here. So keep, change, and change. Multiplying by the reciprocal. 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 2 is 6. This simplifies to 1. Notice a similarity between 1 and 3 here. When you do have the same fraction being divided by itself, the answer is 1. This is because anything divided by itself is 1. You could take Christmas tree divided by Christmas tree and you get 1. Pretend that that is not the ugliest thing you've seen all day. And we can do 8 divided by 8 is 1. 10 divided by 10 is 1. Negative 1 million divided by negative 1 million, 1. If you don't believe me, pull a calculator out and you'll see. Okay, I'm going to throw 2 more examples up here. Find the quotient of both of these examples, and you are going to pause this video, solve, and then check your answers once you've tried. Your first step is to rewrite the question. Your second step is to multiply straight across. Depending on what you're learning in your classroom, you may be able to leave your answer like that, or your teacher may be looking for a mixed number. A mixed number is just a number that's mixed with the whole number and a fraction. Both of these answers are correct. It's just a matter of preference. Your first step is to rewrite the equation by multiplying by the reciprocal. Our step number 2 is to actually do the multiplication. Third step is to simplify. And there's your answer. To summarize the time we spent together today, we found the product and quotient of fractions, and with just a couple steps, you can multiply, and then just with 3 steps, you can divide. Hey, thanks for tuning in with me today. If you're looking for other videos in regards to fractions, click these links below, and you'll find adding, subtracting, and simplifying fractions. Thanks for tuning in with Math is for Me with Mrs. B, where we conquer math anxiety.